Welcome to the Alaskan Journey podcast. My name is Jamin. I'm your first friend in Alaska, and the purpose of this channel is to answer the questions of what it's like living in Alaska from the perspective of people who actually do live here. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by Aurora. She has lived up here, kind of, sort of, right?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of, yeah, okay.
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. We'll say kind of, sort of lived up here for a year and a half. But she is here today to kind of talk about what it's like living in Alaska and her experience of kind of getting out and seeing everything that the state is about. So, Aurora, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So, first off, I guess let's go and say you work for a large company that moves you around pretty often. And what made you decide to ask for you to move up here to Alaska?
I have been in very hot places, and I do not do heat well. I was pretty tired of it, and Alaska has always been that place where I wanted to go. Something called me here. I don't know what it was. A lot of people, when they picture their paradise, it's beaches and white sand and warm waters. And for me, it's always contained snow and ice and tundra. I don't know. And so it's kind of, it was my fantasy happy place. And I wanted to come here. And now that I have been here, I'm like, this is where I was meant to be. So I'm very happy.
It's like, do you remember like your first, I guess, impression, like the first, I guess, introduction of Alaska, like online? Was it like through YouTube, an article? Were you like a kid and saw like a documentary? Like, do you remember like your first introduction to the state?
No, I have seen, I saw a lot of harsh living conditions in other places like Siberia, that type of thing, but never specifically Alaska until I saw, I think, Deadliest Catch,
Yeah.
And that looked kind of rough and tumble. So I wanted to find out more about it. And that's when I started really researching what is it like to live in Alaska. And I found that experiences may vary depending on how far north you go.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I mean, I found like the hyperbole of just, it's always negative 70 degrees and there's like 10 feet of snow and whatever. It's like usually that's not what most of us experience because most people live in Southcentral. It's a lot more mild, but, that's kind of people's expectations of the state, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
So for you then, just give everyone like some context. And we were talking about this before we got started. Like, how many places have you lived in?
More than I can remember, I think. I've lived in various countries. I have been in the Middle East, probably the entire Arabian Peninsula, Turkey, Israel, Iraq, Afghanistan, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. And I have also been in Europe. I have been in Milan. I've been in Germany. I've been in Sweden. And in the United States, kind of all over Texas, New York, which is where I'm from, South Carolina, Georgia, California, Washington State. And as far as Asia, only Korea.
Only Korea.
Only Korea.
Only Korea.
As far as living goes, not visiting, but living, only Korea.
Yeah, that's pretty. You're pretty well traveled.
I am, yes, and Mexico City, which I don't know if I mentioned that, but and Montreal. So, all kind of North America, pretty well covered.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of places you haven't been at that point. Then,
right? Yeah, that's Antarctica is like the thing next on my list, and just to visit, of course, not to live unless I can work at a lab down there somewhere. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, our idea cool, probably a little different, but
that's probably true.
Perfectly fair though. So what did friends, family say when you said that you were like wanting to move to Alaska and then that the company had told you that you were moving to Alaska?
I was beside myself with excitement, and they looked at me like I had three heads growing out of me because their first reaction is always like, Alaska? What's in Alaska? And I always said, I don't know. I'm about to find out. And I'm so glad that I did. As soon as I landed, it was the middle of the summer, so it was still daylight outside. I think I landed at like 2 in the morning since most of the flights come in here in the middle of the night. And I looked around and I said, I have made the absolute right decision. And it's really funny because I've seen all of those people that have asked me, why Alaska? I think I've seen my family more since I have been up here than I ever did when I was in the lower 48. And I feel like Alaska does most of the heavy lifting for me. They all want to come and visit and they want to know why Alaska. And all I can say is I have to show you because I can describe it to you and I can send you pictures and it is not going to do it a bit of justice. You just have to experience it for yourself. And they have. And every single one that comes up here just absolutely falls in love.
Oh, that's awesome. So where do you take people when they're coming up here to visit?
We usually go, or at least we have gone to the fair. They've come during the summer. We've gone to the glacier, walked around on the glacier. We've gone to the falls, polar bear plunging. It's a big
Oh, really?
thing.
You guys?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because they want to see, is it really that cold? I don't think people, that is the most off the wall question. I think the most common question that I get, is it cold in Alaska? And what is it? I'm sorry, what? Yeah, yes, it's known for being cold, but it's not like that year round. So I think they want to know how harsh is harsh really. And
yeah. You do the polar bear plunge. Yeah. That's bad. Like that'll rip a scream from your body. It's so cold.
Exactly.
Like that's different. Yeah. Okay.
So some of the extreme stuff, but zip lining has been a big thing, and definitely hiking because there's the temperate forest here that you don't really see anywhere else. So that's a one in a lifetime experience, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Outstanding. And so we were kind of before talking about the kind of the challenges of you moving up here. A lot of it was just kind of working with the company and everything. For you, we had to go through I was about to say almost all virtual, but it was all virtual.
It was all virtual.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I bought the house sight unseen, and I regret nothing. Absolutely not. It was an absolutely perfect place. So thank you very much for that.
Well, I was just going to say, some people, it's really a kind of a case study, and what works for one person is not going to work for another person, because I can think of other people where that would have been a complete and total disaster. And there are other people where, it works, and, we're obviously doing as much due diligence as we can. You were checking out crime maps and all that, but, we're able to make it work. But how long did the house sit vacant, though, before you were able to actually get up here?
About almost 6 months.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's about what I remembered.
Yes, almost 6 months. And I remember coming in and looking at it, and I was like, wow, I can't believe this is my house. This is my house where I wanted my house. And it's been a dream come true. It's my first house, and I absolutely love it. It's worked phenomenally for me. It's too big for me, so I almost don't really use the downstairs. But I have when all the family comes to visit. So it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I also had a house that was too big for me for my first house, and so it was like a 3-2, and it's like single guy living there by myself. So it's I'm I can kind of sort of get a use out of the second bedroom. The third one really is a stretch, so I would just walk into that third bedroom once a month or so. Just to kind of, see what's going on. Make sure it's still here. It's absolutely. Okay, I feel like I got some value out of this extra space.
Well, my dog, he's an English bulldog. His name is Igloo. And he's a domestic terrorist. And that dog is a hot mess. So he enjoys all the square footage in the house, going up and down and running in and out of all the rooms and having all the rooms to run around. He absolutely loves it. Just
barreling towards adventure after adventure.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. So for you, so it sounds like you flew up here.
I did.
For getting your stuff here, were you able to just ship everything, or did you have to go pick it up and drive it up? What was that like for
everything was shipped and it was delivered to my house. My vehicle was also shipped that I had to go pick up in Anchorage. So it wasn't a huge drive whatsoever. It was pretty close to my work. And it got here perfectly well. It just took a little bit. So that was more of an inconvenience than anything, but nothing I couldn't work around.
Yeah. How long did it like did it take to actually get delivered and for it to arrive up here?
I would say about a month to a
Okay.
month and a half, which was okay because I took a break before actually being up here
Right.
when I left my last place, and it was okay. So I think I did not have my vehicle for about maybe a week and a half by the time that I ended up getting up here, so it wasn't too bad at all.
Okay, here's a good question that I get fairly often. How easy is it to get around in Alaska without a vehicle?
It isn't.
It is not. Okay.
It is not. It is not. I'm from New York City, so that is one of the friendliest places to get around. I lived in Mexico City, as raised there, so you simply do not need a vehicle there. You need a vehicle in Alaska, period. You just need one. You just need one. You're kind of dead in the water without one, and this state is enormous, and I cannot stress that enough. And there's so many things to do, but everything is very, very far away from each other, one point from the next, and it's really difficult. Even if you take the train or if you take a tour bus, you still have to get to the place where those things pick you up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's not very vehicle friendly whatsoever. So I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's difficult.
Yeah, and I mean they've got the I think it's like the Valley Transit People Mover or something like that. We've got like that one single bus stop that goes from like Eagle River to to Anchorage like once a day or out to the valley, but it's pretty limited, like once
Right.
maybe twice a day. So yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's not great. There is, Uber though, Lyft, just like everywhere else. So that's really convenient, and it's helped me out quite a few times, especially if I have to fly out, go on vacation, go to the airport, that type of thing.
Right.
But would I recommend that for a routine basis? No, probably not.
probably not. But so when you got up here, it was during the summertime.
Yes.
And how did you adjust to the 24-hour sunlight and the energy of Alaska in the summer?
So for me, I've worked night shift my entire life. So for me, it was phenomenal. I just cannot stress enough how much I love it here. And the total or almost total darkness for long periods of time and the complete almost total light for, almost 24 hours at a time. I really, really like it. It is difficult to stop. I was doing some updates on the house, and I'm using the drill, and then I see children right outside my street, like small children in their little big wheel tricycles, and they're just out playing. I'm using my drill, and then I look at my watch, and it's like 11:30 at night. So I'm like, I should probably stop because people are trying to sleep, and I'm being really loud. But also, there's little kids still playing out on the street because it's the weekend and it's the summer, and they I guess still have energy, and it's absolutely fine. But sometimes it's really difficult to just get back on that rhythm when you're going back to work or that type of thing. But blackout curtains, I've had no issue whatsoever.
Did you have to use any melatonin at all, or you were able to just black out curtains and you were able to just get right to sleep?
I didn't. I just went right back to sleep, and even without the curtains, I could go back to sleep. But maybe because I'm a night shifter and have always been, so I don't. The light during my sleeping hours has not ever been anything that bothers me.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a really good superpower to have then.
I'm not a morning person whatsoever. Those are very hard for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What about the seasonal change once we got closer to the winter time and like that sunlight started going away? Like, what was that like for you, kind of adjusting to that?
Because it was so gradual, I didn't really feel it. It was just my body just kind of adjusted with the amount of daylight that we had at the time, and I really didn't have a problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, well, that's that's good. A lot of people, especially like their first season, really kind of struggle with that seasonal effectiveness disorder. And it's not really the cold; it's like the lack of sunlight that really gets a lot of people. But I mean, again, you kind of work night shift, so you kind of sound like a little creature of the darkness anyway.
I am,
So
yes, and I always have been. So I think that was a point for me, and that really helped. I know other people that I work with do get happy lights, and those work really well for them. And I know that there's some people that does nothing for them, so they just kind of take like vitamin D supplements, and that seems to work okay, at least for them. But yeah, I didn't have an issue whatsoever.
yeah, I mean, for me personally, I really thought the happy lights were just like a placebo effect for years, and like didn't actually like consider using them. I had someone tell me like about a year ago, you should at least give it a try. So I went and got it, and no joke, within like 2 nights, like it was a hard factory reset.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like right back onto my sleep schedule, and I was like, that's
Wow,
Yeah, so
that's pretty magical.
yeah. So some people like it works really well, and other people it's just
Yeah, it really doesn't do anything.
yeah,
for
it's
them.
like $120 like lamp now. Like that's what you got. Yeah. Were you able to like really plug in and like get into like the winter and like summer activities up here? Like what stuff did you get into?
I really was. So for the summer activities, I was able to go out just about every weekend and enjoy all the things that you can really only do during the summer. We did go blueberry picking and New Yorker, so I'd never seen a blueberry on a plant before. And I learned all about that, and that was so much fun and different than I could never have done that anywhere else, especially the views that you get and just the glaciers right there, the valleys. It's absolutely magical. The summer also brought the fair, the Alaska State Fair. So I went there quite a few times. It's enormous. You can easily spend 6 hours just walking around and not see the same thing twice. Everybody is out and about and very friendly and happy to be out, which is one of the things that has struck me and people that have visited me the most about Alaska is what a big sense of community there is here. People really help each other out. They are very friendly overall and just helpful in general with each other. And that's a really good change, at least for me, because New York City is like a mind your own business type of thing, like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, what happens in New York City, no, it didn't. Like, you mind your business there. Here, people are very, very friendly neighbors, look out for each other. So that's been great. For the summer, we also went kayaking out in Seward, which is right on the ocean. And I would have thought it was, how can you do that on the ocean? But it's very calm waters. And hiking, all the different plants and animals that you get to see. Zip lining, those are all kind of summer stuff that we've done. And as far as the winter, I got to enjoy some time in Alyeska, that big resort. There's a lot of fun stuff to do there, ski slopes, and I hadn't snowboarded in a very long time. I got to do that again, so that was fun.
How often did you fall down?
Often, quite often, and I regret nothing. It was absolutely worth it. Yeah, and some cross-country skiing. We went to do that, so that was very exhausting. I, didn't have to do leg day for quite a while, and that was really worth it. I did a rod.
Yeah, where'd you go for the cross-country skiing?
I think it was a trail somewhere in, I want to say Palmer.
Gotcha. Okay.
I want to say it's Palmer.
Gotcha. Well, we also have the Chugiak cross country trails here, and like just like 5 minutes away from here too, and it's just miles and miles of trails. But doesn't sound like that was really a crowd favorite with you. So maybe
no, it was great. It was a lot of work.
Exhausting.
You don't. I didn't realize all the work it was until the next day, where I'm just like, oh, my age, I can't move. Everything hurts. But it was absolutely worth it. It was fun at the time. Absolutely. The sledding and seeing all the dogs and the Iditarod. I mean, how can you not come to Alaska and, see the Iditarod off? That's a huge deal. And it's amazing. Yeah.
Like, what did you, was there anything that like really struck you about the Iditarod when you saw them taking off? Or I guess about the entire experience altogether?
It, the I'm a big dog person, so it's great I'm all for dogs, so it's great to see them work, but how eager they were to just the dogs themselves to just take off. And I know that the competitors, of course, are anxious, they're in a race and it's a lot of work and it's all about the dogs, but it's one of those, do I have everything I need? And not for them, but for the dogs, just the amount of effort that they put into taking care of these dogs is really awe-inspiring. It's outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think was it this past year that you saw the Iditarod taken off?
Yes.
Man, that was such a bizarre, like, I think they had to like bring in snow, like, because were you in Anchorage or were you in Willow?
I was in Anchorage.
Okay, yeah. I think they had to like actually bring in, because it was such a weird year and we hardly had like any snow, that they had to like bring in snow from like outside of Anchorage just to like.
Which is crazy to me because the year before that, wasn't it like almost a record snowfall?
Yeah, it was the snow apocalypse. And it was terrible because the problem was like the drifts were getting so high that they had to bring in trucks to like remove the snow, because once it gets to a certain height, hey, there's a good chance that's just going to fall over on someone or on some vehicle. And that was not safe for a lot of people, but it's also incredibly expensive to do that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's a lot of property owners that weren't too happy about that. Plus, I mean, for driving too, like some roads we'd go from like 4 lanes down to like 3 just because.
Yeah, they couldn't take all the snow away.
Yeah. It was a mess, but yeah, extreme opposite.
That was pretty nuts. That I think they didn't break the record by what, an inch or something like that, an inch or 2 inches, the year before, and because I know Alaskans were really excited about. Oh, we're almost breaking the snowfall record for the winter, and then they didn't by like an inch, and then the next year it was. Just not that much.
Nothing. Like we gave everything we had to get across the finish line, but we had nothing left in the chamber for the next year. So, yeah, absolutely. And like this year, it was so bizarre. I mean, you remember it was, let's see, January, and it was just grass in the lawn. Like you could actually see it.
Yes.
Were you here during that big rainstorm that we had?
I was not.
Okay. Yeah, that. So weird because I mean we had my sister-in-law, like she's got this driveway that's like steep and everything, and it's kind of in this cul-de-sac, and it just started dumping rain in like hurricane force winds. I think it was like 80 miles per hour or something.
My God.
Yeah, it was such a freak thing to have in Alaska in January. And we removed about, I think it was like 14,000 pounds of water.
Oh my.
Yeah,
I can't even wrap my head around that number.
Yeah, it was just driving so much like rain towards like her driveway, and then it was like just dumping rain and everything too. So it was not good news. And the reason I use weight as the form of measurement is because we had like these big like trash barrels, and our only ways we could do it. I had a brother with me. I was like, okay, we're just gonna scoop and carry like 50 gallons at a time and just run it up to the top of the driveway, dump it. And then that's the city's problem.
So it just goes over the hill?
So it just goes like down the hill and gets into some drainage. But
that sounds brutal.
It was rough. Yes. That was,
my God.
I was not in need of leg day myself for a long time after that.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. So it was a weird year. All that being said.
Yeah. Well, so that was my first winter here, and I didn't spend the whole winter. I was kind of in and out. So it to me, that this past winter, when it's really funny to me, especially when I first got here, because I got here and towards the beginning of October, what you hear from everybody is winter is coming. Mm-hmm. Very Game of Thrones, type of thing. But it's true. Winter is coming, and it's a big deal up here. And once I finally got to experience winter, I was like, this seems like just a really cold Seattle. Is this normal? They're like, no, this is not normal.
Don't get used to this. Yeah. Don't get used to this.
But it was a good start of winter.
Yeah.
It was a good start of winter.
Yeah. Good start of winter. I mean, I'm sure there's some Alaskans out there that would say you don't get the sourdough designation for the past winter, but you know what? I'm going to personally count that because, man, you're also from New York. Like cold environments in and of themselves is not new to begin with. So
yeah, well, but it's New York City, so tons of snow like this. That is definitely a new thing. Montreal, but still, it's not Alaska.
Yep, absolutely. So kind of going into this second winter, then, do you have like any things you're wanting to get out and do to kind of enjoy the state as much as you can?
Well, so because there will be more time spent in Alaska, I think I'll have more time to kind of look around and explore those things things that I can now do because I have been here for a year, and there's certain things that you need permits for after a year, or you need to go do with an Alaskan native, which is an odd rule, but it's a rule that makes a lot of sense, especially now that I know what kind of environment I got myself into. It is not for the inexperienced by any means.
What are you wanting to, like, are you going to go whale hunting? Like, what are we talking about here?
Like, I wanted to go to Kodiak Island or like Kodiak bear hunting.
Yeah.
So that's something that you definitely need an Alaska native for.
Hunting guide,
really,
like someone,
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And even just being on the glacier during the summer, they tell you can't go up there without a guide. And when I thought about a glacier before, I thought about, this is just a big piece of ice. It's absolutely not. It is a whole ecosystem up there. It's insane how much it changes and how dangerous it is. The more you learn about it, the more respect that you really have for it. And it's been my experience with every aspect of Alaska, from a simple hike when you make sure you take your bear spray and your bear bells. And then I said, what did you just say to me? The first time. And I heard that over and over. And I'm like, is that a huge problem around here? And they looked at me crazy like, yeah, it is. And it is. There's times where, I'm going to be late for work. I can't get out of my driveway. There's a moose right outside, and I have to wait for it to move. They're enormous. And you don't understand the magnitude of it until you are somewhat close, or at least within viewing sight of one. So, yeah, it takes its challenges. So now that I have been here and I'm a little more experienced about it, I like to go and really experience more of, especially the native culture and like the native fishing, that type of stuff that I didn't know anything about when I first got here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's going to be a whole adventure in of itself. And, if you go and like bag yourself a Kodiak bear, definitely let me know, because that's
absolutely. I'm gonna if I do that, I'm gonna let everybody know.
Yeah, no, you do that, like we will have you right back on the channel like next week. I don't care. Like we will have your episodes like back to back. Like
there's a bear. Yeah.
There's a bear now. We're gonna talk about that.
That's really funny. The Alaska Airlines, when you go into the airport, they have a sign, and it says "No bear spray allowed on flights." And underneath that, it says, also no bears. and I at first I thought it was just funny until I actually saw everything that people take back home to more remote places. I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah.
That sign needs to be there.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for that rule, and this is the place and this is the time for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So after having lived up here for about a year and a half at this point, is Alaska about what you were expecting?
It's so much more. It is so much more. And I say that in the best way. Not like when I went to Canada and it's kind of like the attic of the United States. You go up there and you're like, look at all this stuff. Huh, who knew this was up here? And it's absolutely not like that. It's its own world. It's indescribable as far as how much stuff there is up here that is completely unknown to really the lower 48. And you forget about how enormous it is and how much there is up here. Every time you see it on a map, it's like Hawaii and Alaska are just in these little teeny tiny squares. And really, you put Alaska on top of the United States and it takes up the whole thing. You come up here and the culture and the way of life is as familiar or as foreign as you want it to be. It is an entire spectrum. Not when you travel for the rest of the United States and what is this place like? Okay, picture it. That's exactly what it's like. It's pretty standard across the board. Very few things change. Alaska is absolutely not like that. It is completely different from one place to the other. And there's always more to see and do and explore.
Yeah, like I'm constantly learning like new stuff myself. Like, I was talking to somebody one time, and apparently we have like a pretty large community of they're called the Old Believers, but yeah, they are the real Russian Orthodox, and we've got a couple of those larger communities up here, like really concentrated around like certain areas. I'm not going to say where they're at online, so we'll talk about that later. But because they definitely value their privacy, and I don't think they'd appreciate it if I broadcasted that everywhere. But they're
Sure.
out there. They're out there. But yeah, you're constantly learning new stuff up here, like all the time.
Absolutely. And yeah, there's so much, and I also love that there's a big native population up here, and you get to be more. You get to live together a lot more and understand their culture a lot more because they're actually here and everywhere, as opposed to hardly ever knowing about them or them being kind of hidden away. So I really like the opportunity to learn about their way of life and their culture as well, and all their traditions. And how did you manage to survive this such a tough environment for with the resources that you had? It's completely different from anything that I have ever experienced.
So we're kind of talking about Southcentral Alaska, just kind of where, around Eagle River, Anchorage,
Sure.
we're kind of settled down here. If you could have picked any other region of Alaska, like where do you think you would have settled down after having a chance to kind of get out and see more of the state?
If it wasn't here?
If it wasn't here, yeah.
Oh my God, I have no idea. I really don't think I could tell you because I like the familiarity and the comforts that are here. I like the option of going out to more remote areas. I don't think I so much would be okay with the idea of living like that for an extended period of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I even though it's one of the largest shipping ports that Alaska is, I don't understand why it takes such a big ordeal to get stuff up here. That makes zero sense to me. But again, I'm not in that industry. I'm sure there's a good reason. But even then, there's nothing I can't get up here that I couldn't get anywhere else in the lower 48. I like that type of comfort.
Yeah.
But being able to just, let me take a bush plane and go to wherever remote area just for the weekend, that's fantastic. So I don't know where I would have settled otherwise. that I would have really, really liked it or would have been able to be there for an extended period of time. I have no idea.
Yeah, because there are definitely some towns where you're walking around, it's like, yeah, this is a 2-3 day kind of a town. Like
Exactly.
After that, it's going to start getting old and the shine's going to come off the apple.
Right, exactly.
I found out the hard way. Like I went to some small community. I'm not going to say which one here in Alaska because that's rude, but went there for an entire week, and then I found out the hard way. This is like a 2-3 day kind of a town. And oh my God, that was the longest week of my entire life. And then the ferry system actually ended up like stranding me there because they were supposed to like pick me up in my car and kind of go sailing off into the sunset and then drop off in Homer and then just drive home. But yeah, they completely just said, oh, well, we're just not going to be there. So
Yeah.
it's like, can I leave my car parked at your dock? No, you can't do that. You're just going to have to figure something else out.
What?
Yeah, the ferry kind of sucks. And
Help me help myself here. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. But if it makes you feel better, the 2 to 3 day thing instead of a week, I feel the same way about Vegas. Like it's go do your debauchery for like 3 days. That's it. That's all you need there. You can't be doing that for a whole week. Yeah, I don't know. I really like it. I really like this area. I love Anchorage and how accessible pretty much any type of adventure you want to have is from Anchorage.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. So after having lived here for a little bit, what would you say are the pros and the cons of living in Alaska? Because, I mean, obviously we know Alaska is beautiful, got a lot of good stuff going for it, but also it does have some downsides to it as well because, you know,
Sure.
people who watch this channel, they're very realistic and they're not going to be taken in by a bunch of reality TV shows and thinking that's reality. So, you know, what are kind of pros and cons from you, the on-site expert of living in Alaska?
So here's some pros. Definitely, you have there's a lot of products that are made and only found here in Alaska unless they ship out, and they're very good products. And you know, I look for little Alaska product bear, and I like that I can go to a restaurant and order bison meatloaf. And that's a regular thing on the menu. You can find all sorts of different foods, meats, and they're all absolutely delicious. The salmon is there's no surpassing that salmon. I know people that have been here for a long time. We were at Pike's Place Market in Seattle, right there. They ordered salmon and they were like, absolutely not. That's disgusting. I'm not eating it. And I'm like, really? You're that bougie? They're like, you can't. It's not Alaska salmon. So they fish, and they bring their own stuff home, and you can't have it any more fresh than that. So as far as seafood, if you're a pescatarian, this is absolute heaven. Some cons is, I would say, prices tend to be a little bit higher as far as food is concerned. Nothing that doesn't balance out, but it can be a bit shocking when you first get here, buying a gallon of milk or trying to get an avocado, for example, which might be such a simple thing down in the lower 48, but here they might not be as ripe as you might want them to because they want them to last a little bit longer. So some of those things are sometimes a little bit more difficult to find, but I wouldn't say impossible either. You just have to know where to look. I like that there's very well-defined seasons. As far as the summer, it doesn't get super hot, but it's still warm enough for you to walk around in flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt, and that's absolutely fine. There's dry periods and there's rain periods, there's snow periods, of course. And that's fantastic. Also, sometimes it might be a little bit difficult to get to work because it snowed too much the night before or it rained too much the night before. And you have to make sure that you get up early enough to defrost what you have to defrost if you don't have a garage or if you left your car outside or whatever the case might be. And you really do have to take that into account because it might be completely buried or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're in a routine and getting up really early, not so great. If you have a dog that you have to walk, then you have to make sure that you dress them too if you're going to go outside because you don't want them to freeze to death either, unless, it's a husky or something that really likes to
and
go
that's
out there.
that's definitely bad news if your little legs are like that tall too, and super tall snow out there. So
Yeah, which my bulldog he bulldozes through it, but yeah, he can be pretty short. He can be pretty short for it. And I would say the vehicle thing, maybe it depends on where you live. Sometimes not having the proper accessories, whether it be tires or where it be an all-wheel drive vehicle, depending on where you live, might be a hindrance. And it might be fine one day and it might not so much the next. And that can get expensive if you are not prepared for those adjustments for the winter. If you are really aware of what it is that you're going to need while living up here and you prepare yourself accordingly, it's not a big deal whatsoever, and it's a smooth transition like it was for me. So that is, and also, if you're into some of the drinking. They have great breweries, great beer, and great, great Alaska products again up here. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you're the first one that's ever mentioned like the Alaska, like really oriented products up here. Like I hadn't really thought about that before, but I mean, you are right. Like every region, area's kind of got its own unique flavor in the lower 48, and Alaska is definitely no different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I brought these treats for my dog. They reek to the depths of Hades. I didn't close them. I didn't zip the bag correctly, and then I ended up having to air out my pantry. But I mean, they're fish skins. So
Oh, geez.
they're like dried fish skins, but he cannot get enough of those things. He absolutely loves them and is great for their coat. And I hadn't seen them absolutely anywhere else. I sent some to my friends in the lower 48, and then now they're, ordering them left and right. I mean, it's just really cool stuff that you can only get in Alaska, or the Great Alaska Duck Race. I'm going to that this weekend. That's pretty cool.
Duck race? Tell me about this.
The Great Alaska Duck Race is basically for a non-for-profit fundraiser, and you can buy a duck, and it's tagged with that ticket number. And then they take thousands of ducks and they throw them into the river, and then they just all go down the river and see which one of those ducks wins. And so there's a company that cleans up petroleum spills, and they're the ones that clean up all the ducks from the river once they're done with them. And it's just a different type of thing.
Yeah.
And then they have these little ducks with like moose antlers, and they call them mucks. So, which is an Alaska, I don't know, like a jackalope or something, I guess. So, it's just kind of quirky, but pretty neat, pretty Alaskan.
I might have to delegate and let you take care of organizing all the meetups in the future. Like your weekends sound a lot more unique than mine.
I try to do something, anything, whether it's just going to the nature center or some event in Anchorage or a farmer's market, whatever it might be. It's great to see all these new things.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, well, Aurora, it was great having you on here, and kind of hearing your perspective of being up here in Alaska, and looking forward to having you on hopefully some more meetups here in the near future. This upcoming one, it's going to be like we're probably pushing the envelope on what we can handle hike-wise. We're going up Pepper Peak in Eklutna, and it's going to be like, it's rated hard on all trails, and it's like an 8.5 mile hike, but it's about 3,000 feet worth of climbing.
Yikes.
That's the catch. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Far and high. Got it.
Yeah. We'll have some more details coming out, but yeah, that hopefully be in your future.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? Everybody else, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.